Go, 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 go. We're live. We're live. What are we live on tonight? We're live on the Ian Macbeth personal Facebook page. If you're watching on that, good day to you. We're live on the Avocado brand page. Hello. We're live on the Stuart Bock Maidenhead page. Say hello to your gang, Stu.
Hey, everyone.
And we're also live on the Landlord page. We're live on the Dan and Neil page. Neil, say hello to your crew.
Hello, crew. Get out those Easter eggs.
Yeah, you've been dropping those around everywhere. Like the Easter Bunny is reformed as Neil and Dan. Georgina, we're live on your page. Updated profile pic on there. Say hello to your mob.
Hello, how are you all doing?
We've got a question later on, a competition. How many books are on Georgina's shelf? If you get it right in the live chat, there will be a prize at the end. Neil has several Easter eggs. And we're also live on YouTube and we're live on LinkedIn. So we are more broadcasted right now than the BBC 6 o'clock news. So I'm excited to get stuck in. I don't know if I can say that. It might have been a blag and I apologise. But hey, look, Easter's out the way. We've got a couple of days left of kids being off school, haven't we, Georgina? Looking forward to them heading back.
The first week was nice, and now I'm ready for the return of school.
Rails comes straight in with a guess. 109 books is the first guess on the shelf, and she wants eggs. But I'm pretty confident she wants chocolate eggs, not chicken eggs. So I'm going to come to Stuart first because he looks primed and ready to talk. How are you, Stuart?
I'm all good. Maidenhead is good as well. It's been a really busy week. Got a few sales in last week. Taken on a few new instructions that will be next week. A couple that have come over from competitors and not sold. So can't wait to get stuck into those and just sort of see and show them really how different it can be.
Talk to me about your first time buyer series that you're putting out on social media at the moment. Been loving these videos. How many tips have you now put out on social media for first time buyers?
I think it's over 12 now. I'm about to start running a first time seller series. The first time buyers, you could do one a week for a whole year and you still keep going.
Yeah.
But I've had a few people message me today sort of saying things they'd like to know. So I'll filter those in over the next few weeks as well.
No, loving that. So yeah, whether you're interested in Maidenhead or not, but if you're interested in advice or you've got people that want to know what Stuart's 12 golden tips are for first time buyers, then definitely go and check those out. And if you want to know the first time seller tips, then obviously they're coming soon. So yeah, definitely worth checking in there. Neil, what have we got to do for you to give us a flash of your immaculate hair? Worth it on this live chat. What's the level of dare that we have to go to?
For Georgina to read every book on that shelf in 10 minutes.
Have you seen the video where the guy goes, "I'm the fastest reader in the world"? And he goes, no. It's the best. It is good.
I don't think the public are ready for my hair. No chance. It's admin afternoon, therefore hair stays firmly under here.
We'll work on it. Georgina, Woodley Market, sunshine in blue skies. I know you said you got a new listing that's come on this week, but things are looking nice out there at the moment, aren't they? You know, spring, we've got green, we've got blue skies, we've got green plants. Everything's looking good. Is it the best time to sell a property at the moment, would you say, so far this year?
Yeah, spring's always my favourite time because people start thinking they want to be in for summer. You know, there's kids starting school in September. So it's always a really popular time for people to move. And I think, the back end of last year wasn't so fun. The start of this year, it did start fairly positively, but it was still a bit of some buyers were quite nervous still. But I think that that seems to have moved on now and people are ready. There's still lots of people that need to move. And if you need to move, you've got to go. So, it's the best time of year to sell your property, I think, because the flowers look pretty and the blue sky. But obviously the weather, it's only picked up in the last week. So hopefully, people will be thinking of moving as well.
In 5 minutes, it could be all different. But, that's where you've got to have a diary schedule where it's like, right, what is the Apple weather saying every 5 minutes of the day to make sure you get the best drone photo? Because it is erratic out there. But I always think that when we get the Easter break out the way, you see the first quarter is a lot of first-time buyers, there's a lot of new excited buyers, and it's definitely been fueled by first-time buyers. I think Zoopla statistics said January, February, March, 36% of all sales agreed in the UK year to date were by first-time buyers. So they're the dominants in the market. But normally what we find after the Easter break is all of those first-time sellers that Stu's just about to do tips for, the upsizers, the downsizers, they all seem to come to fruition now that the properties, a house looks so much better in this weather, and it has a big impact. It's just almost habitual that people think now's the time to make it move. So what do you reckon, Neil? Is now, you know, what you're seeing in regards to offers and things like that? Have you got any sort of power case studies you could tell us about for asking prices and things?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's still it's a good time to do it. I think the dust has settled of that first quarter of the year where people did want to get Christmas out of the way. Then there was a bit of carnage coming into the new year, as you said, with new buyers. And now you've got a lot of people, what we've noticed, moving to buy on. Whereas at the start of the market, there are the first-time buyers that have been at home over Christmas or whatever else and just want to buy a place. But yeah, I think it's still very much important to get the price right, make it attractive enough. That's what we're still finding in all of our houses, because they'll sell over asking price. I had one on the bank holiday weekend that had 10 offers over asking price, and that sold much higher than the asking price, which is brilliant. Sellers were over the moon with the outcome on that. So yeah, again, it just shows you that getting it right, marketing it right, the power of the social media, because a lot of the viewings came through social media, will result in that desirability to make a much higher or attractive offer to stand a better chance of getting it accepted. So yeah, in that scenario in particular, we had a couple of buyers that just made much higher offers. They didn't want to lose it. They'd been looking for so long, and the guys that secured it said that they've been searching for a property in Lower Early and lost out so much that they just done everything they could from their side of things, and they're over the moon. I gave them the good news yesterday or the day before, and they were absolutely ecstatic. So it's nice when that happens, comes together.
Yeah, what a great case study. Stuart, you said you've got a lot of people moving agents. Is that from people that listed at the start of the year or the back end of last year, and now they're thinking, right, the grass is greener when the boards are pink and avocados sit on top?
Yeah, and I think like a lot of people that went on thinking they're going to do this Boxing Day special launch, and you know, by Easter they're still not sold. Like if you go on the market today, it's because you want to be sold by the end of the summer holidays, or that's the way I see it, and like you want to be moved by then. And like for them, some of them thought they would have been moved by now, and it's just not worked out that way. But I would say like the market here has stabilized since the beginning of January. So it's only either what the agent's doing wrong, the marketing of that property, or the price of the property that is the problem. Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot more, like Neil, chain movers now. But you know, once the market's come down that little bit, it's probably the best time to upsize.
More properties seem to be for sale. I know for Avocado, we had the most properties in our history that we'd listed last month by some way as well, like a good 20% more than we'd ever done in a single month. And it does seem like, although when you compare the amount of properties for sale today, comparison to 2019, we're still a little bit short, but it definitely feels like there's more properties starting to come to the market. Are you seeing more people that maybe you spoke to a while ago, Georgina, that are now saying, right, we're ready? They were just waiting for the dust to settle after all of the mini budget and things like that. Are you finding more people now are sort of coming and thinking, right, we're going to get moving?
Yeah, for me, it's recently it's all been about downsizers actually, and a couple of sidewood movers who are not tied to this area anymore. So they're going either to be closer to family, or they're starting a new adventure by the seaside or something. But a lot of them are downsizers, and I think the thing that I would say to them is, a lot of, obviously when somebody's been in a property for 25, 35 years, you get very comfortable with the fixtures and fittings, and obviously the cosmetic, how it is portrayed. Whereas a lot of the downsizer who are upsizing, the buyers who are buying these downsizers properties, they don't necessarily want have to do anything. So there's a real balance with getting it right. So I think if you've got a property that's already been extended, that's a really big plus point for a lot of buyers who don't want to have to spend because the cost of doing these works is really expensive. So if it's just a bit of cosmetic updating, kitchens and bathrooms needing a refit, most buyers are okay with it, but it will affect the price from what I've seen. But yeah, lots of people that are now maybe knocking about in a house that's too big for them, don't want to pay to heat it after that horrible winter that we've just had. Everyone was scared to put their heating on. I think it's made a lot of people realise actually now's the time to get out.
Yeah, quite possibly. I think it's interesting. You're seeing a lot of downsizers actually. I wonder whether downsizers just held off for a while, and now they're kind of sort of thinking, right, it's at the peak that I can achieve a price, or whether they've just decided now's the right time to make the move. I don't know. I know the economy from an economic point of view, obviously we've seen the base rate go up to 4.25%. And economically, it seems like inflation across Europe is starting to drop a little bit, and in the US. So maybe we'll see the benefits of that here soon. But interesting, Stuart, is the interest rates, isn't it? Because interest rates still keep going down. I know Uncle Dave, he's on holiday this week, but he still managed to put out the rates for us to check out what the top deals were. And you still look at those rates and they're still, reducing. And some of them are a good 0.5% lower than the base rate. So that's positive, even though they're higher than what they were before, right? I would say, Stu.
Yeah, and like they now predict that within 18 months they'll be a lot lower than they are today, but they want to grab your business and secure you for 2 or 5 years so that they can make more money out of you in the long term. But I would say it's probably going to go up a little bit more, and then it will hold, and then it will drop by the end of the year. I don't think rates will really change from the banks now. I think that's it for the rest of the year.
Interesting. We'll see. Yeah, it seems like they have sort of stabilised around those sort of high 3%, low 4% in most cases, which I guess we're just locked in for that period of time. What's the sort of conversations you're having with people in the living room, Neil? What conversations are people having in the valuations? What are their struggles? What are their goals? What sort of general chat are you having with people?
Well, I think it's interesting coming off the back of that question to Stuart, because we're having conversations with people where now it's just the new norm. Like I said earlier, the dust has settled with everything going on, and people have accepted, look, it's not as crazy as it was in terms of rates going up and down, up and down. That sort of circa 4 is your new norm of a rate to move with. But I keep having the conversation that yes, your rate might be different to what it was a year ago, but in 5 years' time or 3 years' time, it might be different again. So you might pay £100 extra a month on a mortgage for now. So as long as you're living by your means for the next 3 to 5 years, and it changes again and you go down to a better rate in the future, then happy days. It all balances out. But I think, like we've always said, there's no right time or wrong time to time it. You move when you want to move. If you've got your circumstances that are meaning, right, kids are going to be going to school and are grown out of this house or whatever else, you just make it happen. You make it work, but live by your means at the same time. So plan ahead, keep yourself a safety net, and make it happen.
Yeah, good, solid advice. We had a question off our post that we did a day ago, kind of saying that we were going to go live. So I'm going to read it out. Georgina, I'll go to you first. How does an agent manage the expectations of a listing price, sales or lettings, and still keep their client onboarded? So I guess what he's suggesting is if a property's not selling for price related reasons, how do estate agents, or how should estate agents manage the expectations of that client? What should they be doing? What's your view?
Yeah, I think communication is crucial. If a seller hasn't heard from their agent in a long time and it's not sold, they're just going to be wondering what's going on, and it's probably likely that it's just been sat and left on Rightmove and nothing's really happening. I think it's important to share the marketing reports. Rightmove, the back end of Rightmove, we can share the reports on the stats on how many views it's getting and how it's performing against other similar properties and stuff. So those are crucial things. But also thinking outside the box. One that I've just recently sold in Wokingham Road. It took longer than we thought it would to sell. because it wasn't the most conventional layout. It had a big plot with it with a lot of parking. So I went as far as to contact a bunch of cab, taxi firms to see if any of them wanted a property that would be good for investment, as well as, somewhere where they could park a load of their cars. So because you can't get that from just flinging it on Rightmove. So yeah, thinking outside the box and going that extra mile is crucial. But yeah, for me, it's keeping in touch with them, and that's where the WhatsApp groups come in really handy, because everybody's included. If they're busy at work or out for the day, everybody still knows what's going on. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Georgina, that is absolute quality, by the way. That is the difference of bespoke agency, someone that owns the business, that's dealing directly with a client, an exclusive group of clients. Most agents are just doing the same thing. They're putting it on Rightmove, but I saw you change the front shot, you added the floor plan, you put the plot on the front shot. And then to be thinking outside the box, to thinking, right, this has got a big frontage and it's got outbuildings, to go and proactively speak to cab companies it's so clever. And it's you basically saying, I'm going to do absolutely everything I possibly can for my client to make sure all bases are covered before we approach the conversation around price. I think that's quality.
Oh yeah, it was everything was covered before we looked at the price at all. It was funny because the sellers had a bunch of letters through the door from other agents, and they were like, we're absolutely not going anywhere else. We know that we've got the right agent. It was just finding the right buyer for that particular property. So yeah, it was a challenge, but it was fun. So yeah, it's good.
I think Ellen and Sanjay posted in their WhatsApp group that I've got with them a picture of a pie chart with a business card attached to it, with some blue highlighting bits on some of the different subjects. No cover letter, just here's a pie chart, here's my business card through someone's door. I mean, that's crazy stuff. But yeah, I love that. Stu, what do you think? You ever called a cab company for a client?
Oh, I haven't. I mean, I think it's a tricky one because pricing usually ends up being three different ways. Either the owner's expectation is a bit above where the agent wants it to be, or the agent overvalues it to win the business, or you've communicated really well and you've got the price spot on. And then it kind of blurs in between those three subjects. Like if an owner said to me, look, you're saying it's 400, can we try 425? Absolutely, we can. But I'm going to be honest and give you every piece of feedback. And if it's price related every single time, then it is price. It just kills me when someone's gone 500 when it's 425 and they're stuck for 20 weeks with that agent. So that agent knows he's got, the whole year to get that down to the right price at the right time. But that's just my 3Ps.
Yeah. I think, Neil, you were nodding relatively vigorously with your cap on when Georgina opened with communication. That's massive for you, isn't it? It's a big part of the reason why you moved away from corporate life to doing what you're doing now. I think you've always said that.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan and I were out seeing a client yesterday or the day before, and we were talking about the WhatsApp group and the communication and the fact that that's still a massive factor in terms of complaints. So yeah, to have that one-on-one contact or communication is great. And another thing that we pointed out is that we don't rely on other people to be doing our job correctly, whereas before, because it was passed from pillar to post, or the systems and processes that those corporate agents have in play, you could be very good at your job, but unfortunately when there's 6 other people tarnishing your job, you're left with a client that's not happy by the end of the transaction, or by the end of the sale. So yeah, it's quite easy to upset a client when there's lots of people getting involved, and if they don't have the passion like you do, then it quite quickly falls by the wayside, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally agree. Love everything all of you said, and I've kind of put in the comments for anyone that's listening or watching live or later on, if you want to book a valuation with Georgina, with Neil, with Stuart, one of the Avocado partners, then there's a link in there. Pop it in. No commitment straight away, but it's effectively a request for a call back, and one of the team will come straight back to you and obviously arrange a time that suits. So feel free to do that. What's Stu gave us a little insight prediction then into what he's thinking, which is his expectations are base rate or interest rates? I'm not sure which one, Stu. Was it base rates you think might go slightly up and then level?
Yeah, base. I still think the banks, now that they're not as busy, they'll come down a little bit lower because they want the business. Whereas before, they didn't really know if they wanted the business at the rates, so they weren't competitive. Whereas now, because they've kind of figured out we're not going into recession, all the doom and gloom's gone, they want everyone's money again. So that's why they'll be competitive. But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I hope that that's the end, but my gut feeling tells us we could round to about 4.5 and then potentially, like you said, kind of see that level out or drop at some point. But I am confident that I think inflation by the end of summer at least will start to significantly reduce. Georgina, any thoughts on interest rates? I know you work a lot of different networking groups. So what's the kind of conversations you're having with mortgage brokers? Are you expecting rates to stay as they are, drop, go up? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it really depends on someone's circumstances, how much deposit they're putting down, whether they're employed, self-employed. I think that has a massive impact on the rates that they will be able to get. Obviously, credit rating is crucial. So those sort of things, will depend on individual circumstances. But I kind of agree with Stuart on this. I think maybe they'll go up a little bit, but I think they're just going to sort of carry on for the rest of the year. I can't see the crazy sort of hikes that we were getting, and it was just every day feeling like, oh no, it was another nail in the coffin. It felt like at the end of last year. So I think that's done with, which is great.
Much better, eh? Much better. Questions coming from Rob here, and he said, do you see more people renting their homes out who need to sell and can't, who need to move and can't sell? And what's it quite interesting from HQ's point of view at the moment, talking to Andy Brown, the lettings director for Avocado, and Mike, we're seeing a lot more people do let to buy, regardless of whether they can sell or not, but just a lot of people doing let to buy. And I think it's because people have seen such huge increases in their house prices over the last 3 years, regardless of whether they've just shaved off 9, 10, 11, 12% in the last 7 months, whichever the statistic you look at. But over the last 5 years, house prices have gone up a lot. And people seem to have the equity in their homes to potentially let them out and buy onwards. So we're seeing a lot of that. What are you guys seeing those sort of conversations? Stu, are you sort of having that chat with anyone?
If they're moving like over 100 miles, then I would always say if you don't know where you're going, rent initially. But some people who now can't get the prices they want are renting what they've got and then renting whilst they're out there. They'll then choose an area. Then hopefully the market's better in a year or two. They'll sell, they'll buy then.
Interesting. So like rent to rent, check out the area, do a bit of research. What about yourself, Neil? Because in and around the sort of Reading, the Shinfield area is quite a lot of new build properties. And by new build, I mean within the last 10 years. Do you find a lot of people are doing that? Or are you dealing with more of the classic kind of first time seller, second time seller, straight upsize? Or are you seeing a lot of people renting out as well now?
To be fair, we've always had quite a hectic market of people doing let to buys. It's always been a fairly affluent area, IT hub, where people just want to keep their property and they know the rental market is active enough to do so. So we haven't seen any sort of peaks or troughs on that, if I'm honest. It seems pretty standard. But like I said earlier, I've noticed a lot more people that are selling to buy that now have a bit more confidence in the market to better themselves, whereas before agents wouldn't take them seriously until they were under offer or anything like that. So you've got quite a few people out there looking and actively looking to buy something that aren't even on the market. Last year they would have been told to get lost until they were under offer. So now it's a much better market for people that are in a chain, I'd say. But yeah, we've always had good let to buys.
It does feel much better at the moment, and touch wood that continues. Just a reminder for anyone, if you didn't hear at the beginning, we are running a competition. We would like to know your guesses on Georgina books. Just there, she's obviously got quite a selection of books, actually. What's your favourite book there, Georgina? Is there any sort of standout books of yours?
None of them are mine. They're all my dad's. I don't read that much. But Mostly history books. He's a big history buff, but I have no idea how many there are. I was just looking in the background thinking that looks really chaotic. Yeah,
there's a lot of books there. I've got 2. But yeah, throw your guesses in. We'd love to know what you think on that, and we will get Georgina to count them after the live chat and report back. Stu, what have you yeah, Georgina, I'll come to you with a serious question actually first, because that would be out of order otherwise. Have you got anything bubbling in the background that you want to share with people watching that might be coming on the market soon? Any sales or rental properties that might be coming available, and if someone wants to get in touch with you to look at it off market, then you can tell them where to go. Not in a negative way, in a positive way.
Yeah, so I've got a new listing that will be coming up. It should be in the next couple of days, and that is a flat in the town centre. And then I've got a 3-bed terrace in Woodley, which is a fab location. It's my favourite road, where I've sold quite a few. So that one's coming up hopefully in the next month or 2. And then another one is a little bungalow in Early. So those are all coming up for sale. And then I've got a lettings listing, which is not going to be until the summer, but it will be available, on the market in the next month or so. And that's a 3-bedroom townhouse.
Oh, nice. On the rental, Sanjay's asked a question about having pets with renting. Is it still frowned upon? It's been interesting because you've always used to think, right, a tenant with pets is going to be probably down the pecking order. But then at the lockdown element of things really did mean that pretty much everyone's got a pet, especially if you're letting to a family. It's hard to kind of move away from that. And the argument that we've spoke about on the Landlord Page podcast is, what's messier, a 2-year-old or a pet? What do you think, Georgina? Like, what's the combo on that? Is it a real problem if you've got a pet, or is it okay? I mean, obviously, if it's an alligator or something like that, it's a problem. But,
if you're talking about my 2-year-old, who's 3 next month, she's definitely messier. Obviously, landlords can't actually discriminate against not allowing pets, but obviously, if they've got a choice of professional couple, no kids, no pets, or pets, then if they've got the choice of more than one tenant, then they'll go with what they go with. And sometimes with pets, it might be that, because you can't take an increased deposit, obviously, so it might be that the rent increases slightly to just cover that potential damage that's caused. And that's what a lot of tenants do offer to the landlords. But they're often long term, because they know it's harder to find a landlord that will accept them. So yeah, I think they're great. And as long as everything's put back, then yeah, we love furry friends. So yeah.
Kyle's jumped in. He said 342 on the book question. And Rael was 109 on the book question. So get your guesses in. We would love those in the comments, because there's a big gap between the two. So there's still a place here for someone to win this competition. Neil, what's been so far your greatest success story for a client in 2023?
Oh, I'm hoping the one that I'm working on at the moment. They viewed a property with me. It's on the same road as their sister lives on. Sister saw the board go up before it went online. Before we'd even done any of the video or marketing, the board went straight up. Sister phoned us and said that they were looking in that area, got them in to view it. They made an offer over asking price. Sellers wanted to carry on, so everything went as normal, but we turned theirs around really quickly. That's the one that's now got 10 offers over asking price. They've now got a cash buyer on theirs, and they're going back to look at the property in question tomorrow with the view to making an offer that the seller will accept. So hopefully that one.
Nice. Stuart, question for you. I'm throwing curveballs out here just for fun. Question for you. What has been your best review from a client that you've loved the most, that emotionally you were like, I love that review, thank you? What's been the best one of the year so far for you?
What a curveball. Probably the one I received yesterday, actually. Like, one of my clients, Steph, well, she wasn't my selling client, she was my buying client, and she'd had a horrible experience with her previous agent. Oh yeah, well there you go. You can get it up on the newest. Yeah, so she'd had a horrible experience where she wasn't communicated to about the sellers sort of withdrawing from the sale that easily. And I'd met her nearly, it would be a year ago, probably in May. And yeah, this property came on. I knew it would be for her. She came and had a look, brought her mum to the open house. She offered. We then had so many offers, we had to go back to her, like see what her best and final was. But you know, she was amazing to deal with, and she liked the fact that she could always get hold of me. Like, you probably read it there in the review, but you know, just great communication. But like the sellers on that also made it easy for me to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes if your sellers can be hard work as well, if they don't communicate to you, you find it harder to communicate to a buyer. But if you've got great sellers and great buyers, it's just, you almost think you should set up the WhatsApp group with everyone in one rather than two separates, but you don't. So yeah.
How good would it be though if we could put seller, buyer, solicitor,
Yeah.
broker, agent, all in the pot? Life would be a lot better, wouldn't it, if we could just have that open communication channel? The future will make it happen, I'm sure, but GDPR stops it, obviously. But at the same time, it would be nice to have that communication. No, awesome review. I don't know if anyone could read it because obviously it's probably quite small, especially if you're watching on your phone. But 25 Google reviews for you now, Stu. Probably one of the most Google reviewed agents in Maidenhead in, you know, just under 2 years worth of effort. So amazing work.
Yeah, it's been a good year.
Dan and Neil, you guys are comfortably the most reviewed agents in Shinfield, I would have thought, and the surrounding areas. And Georgina, I've seen a couple of really cool reviews from you on, I think, social media and things like that as well. So yeah, I love these reviews coming in. Sanjay loves to throw some random jokes in at the end of these. So what are sophisticated estate agents known for? Consistently telling you about property. I don't know where he gets them from. Need to know. You know who watched The Last of Us, where she's got that little book of jokes? Has anyone seen that? I need to get my hands on that joke book because I think Sandra's got it. But anyway, it's been a great chat. If people are watching and we're not live, still put your questions in the comments. We'd love to answer. If you want to know how many books are on Georgina's shelf, you need to follow our social channels because we will be letting you know tomorrow morning on that after she spent the night counting them. And make sure if you're not following our social channels, you do, just for that little bit of information. And yeah, from an Avocado point of view, from a Stuart, from a Neil, and from a Georgina point of view, welcome back after Easter. It's a couple of days left before the kids go back to school. The market's in a much better place than definitely where it's been so far this year. I think now's the time to get moving. If you've been on the fence, come off the fence, have a chat with us. There's a link to book a valuation, and we'd love to help you with your next move as well. So we'll see you next Thursday at 6 o'clock. Goodbye from all of us. Stu, anything to add?
I did have a story, but it's a bit of a long one. I don't know if you've got... I'll sum it up in 60 seconds then. Seller went on with an agent. They wanted to do an open house. They called the agent and said, would you want to come and have a look at it before the open house? He goes, nah, don't worry. I'll see it when I get there. He turned up for the second viewing of the open house because he didn't get there in time for the first viewing. So the seller had to do the first viewing. The agent who turned up didn't know there was a walk-in wardrobe area that then led to an ensuite. And anyway, moral of the story is get someone who's interested in your home, get them to come and view it before they try and sell it, and make sure they turn up on time.
That is the moral of the story. That is the difference between the statistics that show this standard and this standard. You do the quote, all estate agents do the same thing, is dead. It's gone. It's been removed from the equation. Thanks to the Avocado partners, life is different now. So Georgina, you got a 60-second story for us?
No, I'm just baffled by that. I think I've seen those where it looks like a wardrobe, and then oh look, it's an ensuite. But yeah, I mean, at least study a floor plan if you haven't been to the house. But obviously, with us, you know, we know everything about the houses before any viewing. So that's funny. Though. That's my story. Just laughing at Stuart's story.
Review of the story.
What's your most awkward moment, Neil, in estate agency? Can you share that on live TV?
I probably shouldn't, but yeah, why not?
We've got a lot of people still watching, so we might as well.
It's nearly the watershed. I've had two. One house in early, many years ago, where someone was in the shower when I walked in. They didn't hit every time. For 14 years, I do the same. When I walk into a house, I always shout hello. Not like scream it, but I always shout hello. And he didn't respond. And by the time I'd got up to the top floor or the master bedroom or whatever it was, went in the shower. Or not in the shower, I didn't join him, but went in the
That's a different story there.
Yeah, opened the door and he was there. But that's not my best one. My best one was actually I probably shouldn't say it, but I will. Went and done a viewing on the house in the middle of the day. The mister had come back and was in bed with a woman. The woman in question had dark hair. His wife had blonde hair. Awkward.
That's why one in three valuations we do in January is a divorce. I got one that I'll throw in the pot before we wrap up. So I was doing a viewing on a rental property that had tenants in. Little did I know that the tenants had massively fallen out with the landlords. They knew a viewing was coming round, so they tried to do everything in their power to put the buyer off. I went upstairs to the master bedroom, and let's just say there were a lot of special toys scattered around and a lot of special outfits scattered around as well. And it was a bit awkward for me and the buyer. So that's one of my most awkward ones. We're back next Thursday. Thanks to everyone that watched. Neil, Georgina, Stuart, been awesome. Thanks for joining me. And we will be available should anyone need us on any platform. And enjoy the rest of your evening, guys and girls.
Peace and love.